Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
From the dusty valleys of the southern Levant to the mountainous ridges overlooking the Jordan, history's secrets are buried beneath the stones of ancient cities and the echoes of forgotten kingdoms. One of these is the ancient kingdom of Judah, a land that once throbbed with the spiritual, cultural, and political energy of a Semitic people who claimed descent from the patriarchs of old. Yet beyond the familiar narratives recounted in textbooks and echoed from pulpits lies a deeper, more intricate chronicle, one that entangles itself with the complex legacy of the Black Hebrews. This story, often obscured by the veil of historical erasure and academic selectivity, deserves re-examination not only for its theological relevance, but also for its profound implications on African and global heritage. To understand Judah is to journey back to a world where lineage defined destiny and where tribal identities intertwined with divine mandates. Judah was more than a geopolitical entity. It was a crucible of sacred traditions, prophetic voices, and royal legacies. And within this crucible, the role of the Black Hebrews, those Hebrews of African descent, stands not as a peripheral footnote but as a vital, often suppressed, centerpiece in its rise and eventual collapse. The earliest roots of Judah trace back to the united monarchy of Israel under Saul, David, and Solomon. Following Solomon's death around 930 BCE, the kingdom fractured into two distinct realms, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. Judah, headquartered in Jerusalem, inherited the Davidic line and the Ark of the Covenant. It also inherited the prophetic promise of divine favor, on the condition of fidelity to the covenant. The population of Judah, often stereotyped in Eurocentric portrayals as uniformly Semitic in a modern Middle Eastern sense, was in fact diverse, with complex ethnic and racial textures. Recent scholarship, archaeological findings, and ancient texts have begun to shed light on the widespread presence of African elements within Judah's population. This is not surprising given Judah's proximity to Egypt, Nubia, and the broader African continent. The trade routes that crisscrossed the Negev and Sinai ensured regular contact between Africans and Israelites, while biblical narratives themselves frequently mention interactions with Cushites, Ethiopians, Egyptians, and other African peoples. Cushites were not just passing figures in the Hebrew Bible. They were generals, advisors, and even prophets. The prophet Zephaniah explicitly claimed Cushite ancestry, a fact that remains largely marginalized in mainstream historical discourse. The presence of Black Hebrews within Judah likely had both historical and migratory roots. After the Exodus, a mixed multitude journeyed with the Israelites. Among them were individuals of African origin. Later, during the monarchy, intermarriage, slavery, and voluntary migration further contributed to the Africanization of segments of the Israelite population. The Kingdom of Judah, in particular, due to its geographic positioning and its relative isolation compared to the cosmopolitan North, became a haven for many marginalized groups. Over time, a distinct Black Hebrew population emerged, not as foreigners or slaves, but as full participants in the spiritual and political life of the kingdom. This Afro-Semitic identity was not anomalous. It resonated with broader patterns in ancient Afro-Asiatic civilizations. The very foundations of Israelite religion, monotheism, temple worship, dietary laws, bear striking parallels with customs found in ancient Egyptian and Nubian spiritual practices. Many scholars, such as Chaikan Tad Diop and Yosef Ben Jochanan, have argued that the early Hebrews inherited aspects of African cosmology, ethics, and kingship. Even the concept of a divine king, central to Judah's royal theology, aligns closely with Nubian and Egyptian ideologies. As Judah rose in prominence, especially under kings like Hezekiah and Josiah, Black Hebrews held vital roles in administration, military, and temple service. The prophet Jeremiah references Ebed-Melech, a Cushite eunuch who saved his life and was later rewarded by God for his faith. This was not a mere anecdote. It was a testament to the integral role that African Hebrews played in Judah's religious and social fabric. These individuals were not slaves or servants on the periphery. They were defenders of prophets, voices of reason, and participants in Judah's fate. The fall of Judah, however, brought this vibrant multicultural legacy to a tragic end. Following a series of revolts and shifting alliances, Judah fell to the Babylonian Empire in 586 BCE. Jerusalem was razed, the temple destroyed, and the people exiled. The trauma of the Babylonian exile, recorded in laments and scrolls, signaled the disintegration of Judah's political autonomy. Yet even in this collapse, the Black Hebrews were not absent. They were among the exiles, the scattered diaspora that carried with them the memory of Zion, the scriptures of Moses, and the prophetic vision of restoration. Post-exilic texts and historical records show that many Hebrews fled not only to Babylon but southward into Egypt and deeper into Africa. Communities of Black Hebrews flourished in Elephantine, Egypt, where a Jewish temple was established. Others traveled into Nubia, Ethiopia, and across the Nile Valley. These groups retained the traditions of Judah, including the Sabbath, the dietary laws, and belief in Yahweh. Oral traditions from regions such as West Africa, Ethiopia, and even the Sahel recount ancestral ties to ancient Israel and Judah. One of the most enduring legacies of the Black Hebrews is found among the Beta Israel of Ethiopia, who preserved a form of ancient Hebrew practice for centuries, including a version of the Torah and unique temple rites. Another important group, the Igbo people of Nigeria, maintain oral traditions asserting descent from the tribes of Israel, and genetic studies have revealed Middle Eastern and African interconnections within these populations. Their customs, circumcision on the eighth day, monotheistic worship, kosher-style diets, bear resemblance to pre-exilic Hebrew practices. The fall of Judah did not signal the end of the Black Hebrew story. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one of dispersion, adaptation, and survival. From the ruins of Jerusalem, the memory of a once diverse kingdom lived on in distant African villages, in the chants of exiles along the Nile, and in the oral epics of black-skinned descendants who remembered Zion not only as a place but as a promise. Even in the Americas, descendants of enslaved Africans have identified with the Black Hebrew identity, connecting their suffering to the biblical narrative of exile and restoration. Modern scholarship has only begun to catch up to what many African communities have preserved for centuries. The role of Black Hebrews in the rise and fall of the Kingdom of Judah is not a revisionist fantasy, but a recovery of historical complexity long suppressed by colonial historiography and religious dogma. As the field of Afroasiatic studies grows, and as DNA technology and archaeology progress, the story of Judah continues to unfold, not merely as an ancient memory, but as a living history waiting to be fully embraced. At the heart of this narrative lies a profound truth. The Kingdom of Judah was never a monolith. It was a mosaic of tribes, tongues, and skin tones. Its legacy belongs not only to the ancient Israelites, but also to the Black Hebrews who shaped its destiny, carried its burdens, and preserved its flame long after the temple walls crumbled.